Happening now on Grid Tonight. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is taking place this weekend. Is Toyota, Porsche, or another manufacturer the favorite to get the overall race win? Formula E released the provisional calendar for season 11. What are some of the most notable changes on the new schedule? The NTT IndyCar Series is close to announcing their new TV deal. Will they stay with NBC Sports or go elsewhere? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lamont, and with me are Joshua Birch and Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Index. We encourage everyone to comment in the chat, ask questions, and support us through Super Chat. And now here's Josh with our 24 Hours of Le Mans preview.
Thank you, Kobe. Good evening. Good evening, Matthew, as well. And if you're wondering why we're a bit late, it's because I was at Le Mans. So I've come off that commentary and jumped in here as well. So, as Kobe said, for the 92nd time in history, one of the world's greatest endurance races is taking place this weekend, the 24 Hours of Le Mans at the Circuit de la Sarthe. We have an epic 62-car field with 23 cars in the Hypercar class, 16 in LMP2, and a further 23 in LMGT3. But starting with the Hypercar class, this manufacturer list in this year's edition of the Twice Around the Clock French Endurance Classic is very impressive. We have 3 entries from Cadillac, 2 of them from Chip Ganassi Racing, and the third is from the V-Line Engineering sponsored prototype from Action Express Racing. Then we have 6 Porsches, 3 factory cars from Porsche Penske Motorsport, and 2 from the Hertz Team Jota squad, and a single entry from Proton Competition. Of course, Toyota Gazoo Racing returns with a pair of their GR010 hybrids. The team is trying to win Le Mans for the 6th time in the last 7 years. However, opening day today has not been their friend. We also have a small privateer entry with Isotta Ferricini as well, who have not also had a great day coming into it. Then we have 2 Lamborghinis from the Iron Lynx and a pair of BMWs and the BMW N Team WRT as well. Add in the 2 Alpines, Peugeots, and the 3 Ferraris, who are the defending winners of this Endurance Classic. All of the graphics there courtesy of the FIA World Endurance Championship. Ferrari winning the 83 AF Corsa as a bit of a privateer customer team coming into it as well. Still part of the factory alliance, but not quite Ferrari. Imagine it a bit like in MotoGP, we've got Ducati and then Prima Pramac. Same car, different team. Now, with 23 hypercars competing for the overall win, could this be one of the most competitive 24 Hours of Le Mans races that we've seen in recent memory? I'll start with you, Kobe.
Yeah, Josh, it's just very impressive to see where we are with Le Mans. Before I get into my answer, I want to say hello to Adam Limmeries in the chat room saying, bring on the 24 Hours of Le Mans, you can't wait. And David A says, thanks for the coverage. Cheers. Cheers right back at you, David. But yeah, very exciting weekend for motorsports. Always get super hyped whenever we have the 24 Hours of Le Mans on television. And looking at this hypercar class, it seems like it just continues to impress. Year after year, going to put the entry list back on the screen there for everyone to see. You're just going to go down the list. It's just crazy seeing all these different manufacturers. I wish we could have, this many prototypes racing in the IMSA GTP category. Hopefully we'll get there someday at some point. But right now at Le Mans, it's just very impressive. Just, seeing all the Cadillacs, Porsches, Toyotas, and all these different manufacturers. This is very, very impressive. Got 2 entries from Ganassi. Looking forward to seeing what the IndyCar stars can do. Got Alex Palou, who's going to be joining Earl Bamber and Alex Lynn, and Scott Dixon's going to be in there. Ringer Van der Zande and Sebastian Bourdais. Yeah, in that number 3 Cadillac, that's basically the number 01 from the IMSA GTP category. Yeah, so Ganassi's going to try to do the best they can do. Maybe potentially contend for the win. And then Porsche got 3 strong bullets in the gun, followed by 2 strong Toyotas. Isotta Ferricini, Josh, you mentioned, they're looking kind of slow on the speed charts, but I love to say the name. Isotta Ferricini is very Italian, obviously, and BMWs. Yeah, BMW really surprised us today with the pace that they've shown. Maybe they could plus spoiler and potentially contend for the win. Yeah, got Hertz Team Jota. Those privateer Porsches running really strong. Noah Spa Calamilide and Will Stevens end up getting the win there. And really surprised a lot of folks there. We'll see what the Peugeots and the Alpines are able to do. Lamborghini as well. You're just looking at this entry list, all these cars, these teams. It's just super, super impressive. And honestly, I came into this event thinking that Toyota is probably going to be the favorite to win again, but Toyota ran into some problems that we'll talk about in just a little bit. But it's really looking like an unpredictable race. There's no telling who's going to win in this 23 car field. Very, very stacked and super impressive.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Big event, of course, last year with the 100th the anniversary, not the 100th running, but the 100th anniversary of this race. Big win for Ferrari last year. But within the World Endurance Championship, they've really not had the best of starts. They probably could and maybe should have won at Spa last month before the red flag, which kind of scuppered all of their plans late on in the race, which led to the win for Hertz team, Jota Calamaila and Will Stevens. The Porsche as a whole have won 2 of the first 3 rounds of the championship. The number 6 car of Kevin Estre, Lawrence Vanfort and Andre Lotto winning the 10-hour race that opened the season in Qatar. Toyota then followed that up with a win at Imola for the number 7 car, which was Mike Conway at the time. He's not at the race this weekend. We may touch on that in a moment. Also, Kamui Kobayashi and Nick De Vries, and then Porsche winning again with the Jota team at Spa last month. Ferrari, of course, the winners from this race last year. BMW have been very impressive so far this weekend. They've been building through the start of this season, both on the American side in IMSA and GTP and on the world stage. Good to see 2 Lamborghinis. That's really good. And of course, 3 Cadillacs, which again was a thing last year. Pressure will be on Peugeot, the home team. Will have massive support. And even already so far this weekend, their CEO has said, or this week, as we're not quite at the weekend yet, but this week has said it's now time for this team to start winning. Well, they've been off the pace and slow most of the time since they've come back into the World Endurance Championship just over a year or so ago. Haven't really shown any pace at all, but they did have their best run of the year last year in this race. So be interesting to see how they go. If you think back to last year's race, we had rain at times, there was crashes, torrential downpours. Porsche came good sort of Saturday evening, but then that fell away and Ferrari came through to take the victory. So it could go any of which ways. The driver lineup for all of the categories absolutely stacked. When you can bring in IndyCar champions as your third driver, you really know that Chip Ganassi and Cadillac are serious about their entry, and really looking forward to seeing how the weekend goes. Always a classic at Le Mans.
Absolutely, and as you've been saying, we have kicked off this 2024 championship because in the World Endurance Championship, where Le Mans is round 4 of this 2024 season, so far we've seen 3 different overall race winners in 3 different races. The number 6 Porsche won the season opener in Qatar, followed then by the number 7 Toyota at Imola, and the number 12 Porsche took the victory at Spa last month. Now, in recent years, we've expected to see the Toyota at the top of the championship, but Porsche has really taken the fight to them this year. It feels like I'm going back in time saying this. Andre Lotterer, Kevin Estre and Lawrence Van Horth as well lead the championship over the privateer Porsche entry of Callum Ilott and Will Stevens. Then it's the number 7 Toyota of Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi, and Nick De Vries. Now, speaking of Conway, he won't be competing this weekend because he was involved in a cycle accident, breaking his ribs and collarbone. Toyota is calling on a familiar face to fill in for him this weekend. Jose Maria Lopez has been already out in the car as well. At the Le Mans test day, we saw both Toyota and Porsche looking strong. The number 8 Toyota led FP1, and the number 15 BMW surprised many by posting the fastest time to advance to Hypercars qualifying. Now, maybe even bigger surprise by this, no Toyota in Hyperpole. This is who's qualified from Hyperpole as well in the Hypercar category. As you can see, top time as well was the 3:24.465 set by the number 15 BMW. Then we get the number 3 Cadillac, followed by the number 50 Ferrari AF Corsa. Then it's the Alpine entry with the number 33. Then we get the number 2 Cadillac, the 51 Ferrari AF Corsa, the 6 Porsche Penske, and the 12 Hertz Team Jota. Now, that wasn't always the case because qualifying in 4th position was the number 7 Toyota, who then, after spinning down at the Porsche curves, had a red flag deployed. And because he caused the red flag, Kamui Kobayashi driving it, all times from qualifying were deleted for the number 7 car, kicking Toyota out of Hyperpole. Now, what about the number 8 car, you say, as well? That is also because at the same time, Brendan Hartley, who was running 12th overall at the time, was on a faster lap time by 2.5 tenths of a second, but approached the yellow flag zone, had to back off, and the time he got to the line to complete the lap, the red flag came out, meaning with only 2 minutes left on the clock, the session wouldn't be resumed. Both Toyotas out of qualifying, and for the first time in the hypercar era will not go for pole position. So just quickly, starting with you, Matt, on this one, is this still Toyota and Porsche's race to lose? More emphasis now on Porsche's, or do you see another one of the manufacturers like BMW here catching them off guard in the race?
Just a quick point on the Hyperpole result. It's one of the longest tracks we see all season in terms of distance, and we've got all of those cars covered by half a second, which is excellent. Hyperpole is going to be really, really good. Although qualifying matters very little in a 24-hour race. So as we've seen many, many times previously, and I'm sure we'll see again. For the race, though, probably Porsche would have to be maybe the money favourite for the weekend, especially now that Toyota are a little bit further down. They'll have to come through the field, and there'll be a smattering of GT and LMP cars in LMP2 cars in there as well. Porsche, I would say Porsche have the strongest combined lineup, even if you include the Jota teams in there as well, and even Proton, who were very, very fast at Spa last month. So, and again, we're with the Ferraris, probably could have ended up winning the race if the red flag hadn't been called there and messed up their pit strategy towards the end. Toyota will be, they will be strong, but we'll have BMW at the front, we'll have Alpine at the front, we'll have Porsche, we'll have Ferrari, we'll have Toyota at the front. It all depends on tyre strategies. There'll be compounds of tyres when we'll get rain, because as the phrase says, it always rains at Le Mans. We surely get some at some point during the race, and more than likely during the nighttime hours. One thing you will be interesting to watch out for, and it has been the case for the last year and a half, especially in the WEC, there are no tyre warmers. So outlaps, much like in IndyCar, outlaps out of the pits will be very, very key. And if the temperature is cold during the nighttime and you're at the track at the weekend, make your way up to the Dunlop chicane, because you're probably going to see plenty of hypercars skating off on cold tyres on their first lap out of the pits there, because that's going to be one of the exciting points of the race, to see how everyone brings their tyres in. But there'll be plenty of safety cars, plenty of all manner of action, and it's going to be who manipulates their way through the carnage and comes out on top on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Matt, totally agree with everything you said, and it's certainly gonna be interesting to see who comes out on top on Sunday afternoon. And looking at this list of 23 hypercars, it's really anyone's guess. I can think of maybe 15, 16 cars that have a real legitimate shot at winning this race. And like you said at the top of your answer, Matt, it doesn't really matter where you start in a 24-hour race. So just because the Toyotas didn't make it to Hyperpole, at the end of the day, that really doesn't matter, because you got 24 hours to get to the front. And I have a feeling, Toyota, although they're not going to start where they want to start, I still think they're going to end up being in the mix. And I do think it could potentially be a battle between the Toyotas and the Porsches. But I certainly wouldn't count out the defending winners of this race, of course, the factory Ferraris. And also wouldn't count out Cadillac or even BMW as well. I think those are probably going to be their biggest challengers. But if I had to bet, I think a Toyota or a Porsche is going to end up catching this race. Win. And it was definitely quite a surprise to see BMW show that type of speed. I believe it was Dries Van Thor that set that very quick lap time. And we'll have to see how the BMW is going to handle in the race. I know they're still, getting their feet wet in the hypercar class with Team WRT, but I think things are coming along just nicely. And for some of the other newer prototypes in this championship, it's going to be interesting to see how their development comes along. And then you brought up a good point about the Peugeots as well, wanting to do better. And I wonder how much longer they're going to stay in the championship, because we know they returned to sports car racing with this unique concept without the rear wing, and then they basically did a whole redesign of the car and brought in a rear wing like the rest of the prototypes. And the car is still not as fast as we like to see it, but to a point made earlier, this race was their best race of the 2023 season, and I'm sure they hope that they're going to perform well in front of their hometown crowd as well at the circuit de La Sarre, because I know Peugeot has some very high expectations, and if they don't improve for the rest of the season, I wonder how much longer they're going to stay in the hypercar class. But I wonder if we could see them exit sports car racing once again.
Now, you might remember after the 24 hours of Daytona earlier in the year that I said if I were ever to do a 24-hour race again, somebody needs to shoot me. Well, we're back again, and it all kicked off today in first and qualifying and second practice sessions. Yeah, it's been a busy old day. First practice, though, got underway. It's a 3-hour-long session. It got underway at 2 p.m. French time as well, lasted until 5. We got 90 minutes in before the first red flag, and it was a weird one because we had the number 36 Alpine stop at the exit of the pit lane. And we also, at the same time, had the 78 Acodis ASP team stop on the track with false neutrals. They had to reset the cars. With 2 cars at opposite ends of the track and might not need a position with crane on both, the red flag was the natural solution. We got going quite quickly then. Both cars got back to the pit lane under their own steam. At the end of the session, it was in free practice 1, the Toyota who went fast as well. It was the number 8 Toyota Gazoo Racing, 326.013. And everyone thought, right, that's what's going to be going into qualifying. But as you know, in qualifying, it never went that way. We got an interesting situation where the session was interrupted a couple of times. One, Brendan Hartley had a spin coming out of the Daytona chicane down the Mulsanne Straight, destroying his run on the tyres. That put him, as I said, down in 12th position. Then we had Kamui Kobayashi spinning, bringing out the red flag, ending the session, and ruining his qualifying and the number 8 car's qualifying session as well. Then they were deleted. And then we went to practice 2 at the end of the night when the sun sets. We get 2 hours of night running. We had an accident as well on track, as I lose my timings because it's all gone away from me because Twitter is now not liking me. So we had an accident on the track as well for the BMW. The number 16 hit the wall down at Indianapolis, just knocked off the front nose, perfectly fine. Go back to the pit lane under its own steam. We had one of the privateer teams of Estrella Florenzi as well, having a problem with no rear tyre. And then finally, Callum Ilott hit the wall with 30 seconds to go and has broken that Toyota car. So that's going to be needing to be rebuilt overnight. And the teams don't want to do that because they've put their race engines in. So if they have to change that, they have to take a penalty in the race itself. So grids could be becoming a little bit more interesting. Not really a lot happened in this morning's actions or today's actions in total. So it's been nice and calm. The weirdest thing is seeing LMP2 back, because if you've been following World Endurance this year, you know that it's now just Hypercar and the GT3s in the category. LMP2 were phased out to give more spaces to Hypercar coming into 2024. So LMP2 having their 16 cars back on the grid now does feel a bit weird, and it's cramped the pit lane up. 62 cars in a pit lane that's only designed for 50. Many people now are doubling up on stacks as well in pit lanes, including the 2 Ferraris, Porsches, all that lot. They're all doubling up like they do in Formula One. So it's a cramped pit lane down there. So if we have safety cars, and we're expecting rain in the race as well come Saturday, Sunday, that changeover in the pit lane for dry tyres could be very interesting and could be very, very busy. So that's definitely going to be one to watch coming down later on. And Matt, I'll ask you a quick question on this one as well. What's your take on all the GT3s and LM and hybrid cars coming in as well, and sort of this season kicking out LMP2 as a whole? Because I know personally for me, LMP2 used to be the one you used to watch in the race as like, this is where the interesting battles are going to be. And now Hypercar have come in, taken all their spots, and the GT3s have sort of been moved over. It just feels like we're watching an IMSA race, but in Europe. What's your take on how it all goes now?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. LMP in the, I guess you have to think about it like this. We had the good years of Toyota, Audi, Porsche. That was really good. And then when Dieselgate happened, we just kind of had Toyota. So we had to look at LMP2 for our excitement. And they certainly did provide some over those few years running up into before this new hypercar era. The manufacturers pay their money and they take their grid slots. So, you know, that's always going to be the way. And GT3 has been, I mean, the last couple of races Imola was really good for GT3, although it was affected by the weather, and BMW ended up romping away with it. But the race at Spa last month, the GT3 race, was tremendous. We had Lamborghini in the mix, with Porsche in the mix, McLaren came through strongly. The Iron Dames could have won. There'll be one to watch out for in GT3 before having to run splash and dash at the end. All the manufacturers have got a chance, I think, in GT3. Even the Mustang, which has had a bit of a slow start to its sports car career, but it really is getting there now. So that's going to be really good to watch. Another thing to watch out for in the race, just as you mentioned, safe rain and things, safety cars. There is 3 safety cars at Le Mans. They all come onto the track at a certain point. So we're not going to have 62 cars in the pit lane at once, thank goodness, because when they all get split around the track, that will be something to watch in the race for strategy, because you do not want to get caught behind the wrong safety car when the track goes back to green or whatever. So we've seen that cost teams in the past and then have to play catch up at the end of the race. So that's something else to watch. But back to the P2 thing, good to see them back. They've been the last the 2 races we've had in the European Le Mans series this year so far, which LMP2 is now the top, or has been for a while, is the top category, and now they're unrestricted as well, so they're really going quickly, have been tremendous. So let's hope that they yet again put on a show for us this weekend.
I'm going to be keeping my eye on it as well. And Kobe, I just want to get your point of view on what it's like over there, because we call it the World Endurance Championship, and we had the tie-up with IMSA with the Sebring races as well in years gone by. That hasn't happened for a while. So, but we've got Cadillac in there as well. We've got the United Autosports USA team as well in LMP2 categories coming in. What's it like for an American fan watching Le Mans and the World Endurance Championship as well? How well is it promoted over there, and how well is it sort of received in the motorsport fan base as well? Because from a European point of view, Le Mans is our Daytona, and you've obviously got Daytona. So I was able to give that analysis on the show in January. So what's your take on Le Mans from an American point of view?
Well, I'll say from an American point of view, I guess strictly talking about the 24 Hours of Le Mans, motorsports fans are very excited about it. But outside of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, I'd say a lot of people are not really paying attention to the World Endurance Championship as a whole. But it's still tune in for Le Mans. But I think the biggest thing that the American audience is going to see this year is the absence of a team that's basically been there for the last couple of decades. There's no Corvette racing, and we know when the ACO and the World Endurance Championship decided to change the GT class structure to go to GT3 cars and get rid of the GTE cars. Instead of keeping the factory entries like you see in the GTD Pro category in them, so they decided they just wanted to do the Pro-Am thing and basically only focus on all pro driver lineups in the hypercar class. I know at one point, that people were joking around or saying that the World Endurance Championship is going to be nothing but hypercars in the future. You'll see like a 32, 33, 34, 35, or 36 car grid, and it'll be nothing but hypercars. They say, no, they already kicked out, LMP2 for the full season. I guess next year, if hypercar keeps growing, soon the GTs are going to get kicked out as well, and then it'll just be nothing but a prototype racing series. I mean, that would be great and all to see that type of growth under this new LMDH and LMH platform. But at the same time, GT cars, Grand Touring cars, they are the the bread and butter of sports car racing, and I believe they truly deserve a home in sports car racing, especially in multi-class racing in a series like this. So I hope it never gets to that point. I feel like there's always should be a place in GT racing in the classic endurance events in the world, whether it's the Rolex 24 Daytona Mobile 112-hour series, and the Petit Le Mans, the 6 hours of Spa, or the 24 hours of Le Mans. I feel like you need to keep the GT cars there, for the sake of tradition. But one of the biggest things as an American, it's going to be so weird not seeing Corvette racing out there, but it is good to see the new Corvette GT3s out there, but it's just not the same, without, Pratt Miller Motorsports from the Motor City, because they've been a staple of for so long, and a lot of people have tuned in to the 24 hour miles just strictly to hear the roar of the Corvette going down the Mulsanne Straight and to see them, represent the entire United States on their back. And it's certainly a weird feeling not seeing them there, but just to bring it all back in. The 24 Hours Le Mans is a global event. You're still going to have a whole bunch of people paying attention to this great race.
I'll stay with you on this as well, and I'll come to Matt second on the question here, because I want to say, looking at the LMP2 and the LMGT3 classes as well, which driver lineup will be the one to beat in each of the categories coming through?
Well, looking at LMP2, I'll pull that up on the screen so our viewers can see that. You have quite a competitive class here, but if I had to, I guess, pick a winner for LMP2, I'd go with the number 20, 23 from United Autosports, and that lineup is Ben Keaton, Felipe Albuquerque, and Ben Hanley, three very fast drivers, and I believe they're going to be super competitive in this year's LMP2 field. Got a lot of great driver lineups all throughout. And now looking over at the LMGT3 category, got a lot of manufacturers in this class, and I will say it's glad to see the likes of Lamborghini, especially McLaren, back at Le Mans. It's been a while since we've seen a McLaren racing in this endurance classic. But if I had to pick which driver lineup that I'm going to be looking at the most, I'm going to be looking at the harder racing Aston Martin of Ian James, Daniel Mancinelli, and Alice Ribeiro. So I think that Aston Martin could really turn some heads this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you, Kobe, on United Autosport and LMP2 with that Felipe Albuquerque car. Ben Keating is a bronze.
Might have lost Matt.
Oh, I'm definitely still here.
There we go. Hello, we can hear you now. It was a little glitch.
I hadn't gone anywhere. I'll go back to the start of what I was trying to say, which was I'm going to agree with Kobe on United Autosports and LMP2, the Ben Keating, Felipe Albuquerque, and Ben Hanley car especially. Ben Keating is there as a bronze. He is no bronze. He is the best bronze on the planet, and he will be out for victory. So it might be in the kind of internal Pro-Am category within LMP2, but that car probably is going to be up there. Quick notables as well while we're here. Fabio Scherer there has moved across to Nielsen Racing. He was the hero of the race last year with Euro Interpol, driving most of the race with a broken foot and getting that run to the finish. So watch out for them. In GT3, if I had to pick, again, the field is absolutely stacked. WRT with the two BMWs, of course, everybody will want the 46 car to win. We know all about number 46, Valentino Rossi's first run in the Le Mans 24 Hours. He was at the race last year in the Le Mans Cup race, but he's in the big race this time, along with Maxime Martin and Amadou Harty. Just a point of note, Christopher Mies in the 44 Proton Mustang, surprised to hear that this was his first Le Mans 24 Hour start. You would have thought Chris Mies had done 6 or 7 of these things by now in his stellar career, but this is the first race for him at Le Mans. So he'll be a star in the Ford if that Mustang is going as well as it has done in the last few races. Lexus will be up there as well. That is going to be really hard to pick a winner, but obviously for maximum headlines, it'd be great to see Valentino get the win.
Oh boy, it would. And he was enjoying himself in the night practice as well a couple of hours ago. And no point really saying when to watch the Le Mans 24 Hours. It's Saturday, Sunday, 24 hours. You can tune it at any point you like. It's a 24-hour race. Adam says GT racing is incredible. Always enjoy it as well. Le Mans commentary before. I've remembered to buy soothers to take during the race. I've never done that, and I've always regretted it because I wake up day afternoon, and I did say afternoon there, and my voice is like, hello. I can barely speak. So it just dies. Adam says, I think Iron Dames will perform well. I think they are 60th overall at the moment. They did not have a good qualifying, just that red flag. They won a fast lap when it came out. So they can do a lot. But as Matt said earlier, qualifying in a 24-hour race, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you like in that time. Coming to it. How much is Le Mans promoted over here? Well, less than 0, says Matthew. Oh, great. Matthew is over there behind the mic is coming into it.
Well, I better mention then quickly that after Le Mans, the World Endurance Championship continues, and it is at the Circuit of the Americas for you American fans, the first weekend of September. So if you like what you see and you can get to Austin in September, then make your way down for the 6-hour race down there.
Are you on the call this weekend for anything on USMA?
I am not on any calls this weekend at all, apart from Germany versus Scotland on Friday night in the European Championship opening game.
You're welcome to stay in anytime you like, you know that. Just hop in. We've got an open door at the moment for that. Le Mans. Yeah, I think even Joe Samiega's coming on for some night shift commentary as well. The graveyard, as we call it. That's going to be a lot of fun as well. Always like commentating with Joe on Le Mans. It's become a little bit of a tradition. So, yeah, the 24 hours. Tomorrow, we've got free practice 3, Hyperpole, that's the biggie. And then we've got free practice 4. Friday, nothing, day off. And then Saturday and Sunday is the race. Moving on. The ABB FIA Formula E World Championship has released the provisional calendar for season 11. Now, for the first time in Formula E history, we'll see 17 races at 11 different tracks. And as you can see here on the screen, the 2024-2025 season will begin on December 7th in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The first time in a number of seasons, actually, that we're starting in the previous year. Back to the original roots of where we had it in the early days of Formula E. We will also return to Diriyah at Saudi Arabia, but competing at a different venue as well. Everybody punching the air because, to be honest with you, that track was boring. They're still figuring out the location for the March 8 race as well. Then Formula E will return to the United States, trading Portland, Oregon, the breaking hearts of everyone here at Grid Network. It's our local track, but back to Miami, Florida. It's not the first time Miami Street Circuit as well. It's not the one in Formula E, but Formula E is going from Portland International Raceway to Homestead Miami Speedway. And not the street circuit that Formula One used or the original that Formula E used back in season 1. We'll go to Homestead Miami Speedway. That's going to be a very interesting venue to convert. After that, it's a doubleheader weekend on the streets of Monaco for the first time, followed by 2 more doubleheaders in Tokyo, Japan and Shanghai, China. Plus, finally, a joyous return to Jakarta, Indonesia, ending the season with doubleheaders in Berlin, Germany and London, England as well. Graphic courtesy there of Formula E. Big sigh of relief that it will be in London as well, after some rumours that we will be off to Silverstone on the international circuit for the Silverstone E-Prix. It's going to be still in London at the Excel Centre, at least for another year. That is take on the provisional calendar. Given that Portland is the home of Grid Network, as I said, what do you think of Formula E's decision to change the American round from Portland to Miami?
Well, Josh, before I get into that, I'm gonna go into the entire Formula E calendar as a whole, and I think it's very interesting that we're actually starting the season, but before 2025 actually begins, that we're starting it in December, which is kind of nice. I guess that means no off season for us here at Grid Network. It's already a long enough season for us, so we're not gonna get that 1 month off that we usually get before we have to fire things back up for Formula E and World Rally Championship in IMSA in January. So thank you for Formula E for going to Brazil in December, giving us more work to do. And yeah, definitely an interesting schedule. I'm looking at round 5. I wonder where they're gonna go there. I'm sure it'll be an intriguing location. Moving to Miami is an interesting choice, but I'm thinking Homestead Miami Speedway. I'm not sure why they decided to go to Homestead Miami, but maybe that was the best place that they could go, given circumstances in Miami. Honestly, when I saw Miami, I thought it was going to be just, a street circuit. I didn't expect it to be, the Miami International Autodrome where Formula One races on. I thought it might be a different type of street circuit in the Miami area, but here we are landed at Homestead Miami Speedway, assuming they're going to be using the road course layout there, which is, okay. Monaco doubleheader, and they got a whole bunch of more doubleheaders. I'm really excited to see Indonesia return. I really like when they last raced. I thought it was a really interesting, fun racetrack. But now, I'm going to address the decision to trade Portland for Miami. I just want to start off by saying that I'm really appreciative of Formula E for allowing Grid Network to come to the track to cover these races. They've been very wonderful to work with. And the upcoming Portland E-Prix is more motivation for us to go out on a high note. Really sad to see this event come to an end, but at the end of the day, I'm glad that they're continuing to stay in the United States somewhere. And the Miami market, is obviously very strong. And maybe they felt like it was better to go there rather than go to Portland, Oregon. But here at Grid Network, we're definitely going to miss seeing the Portland E-Prix. And when we go out there at the end of the month, we're going to do our very best to cover the event to the best of our ability and give the event the proper coverage that it absolutely deserves. And the part about the Miami E-Prix that really surprises me is that we heard rumors that Formula E might be moving that they're American round to Los Angeles to race at the Dodger Stadium or something like that. So that didn't materialize, and I guess we landed at Miami.
Yeah, really disappointing for ourselves as on a personal level that we're going to lose our Formula E round as the Grid Network team. But hopefully we can perhaps get someone on the ground at Homestead. It's a shame that it is going to be at Homestead rather than on a proper street track. We seem to be again trending away from these proper street tracks. Although one, nice for it that it's back in a pre-Christmas opening round there in Brazil. Of course, you go back to the very start of Formula E, and we used to have 2 or 3 rounds before the turn of the year, which was harking back to A1 Grand Prix, which is always nice to get a mention of that in. But good for London to be back. That's always an excellent event, and hopefully that will continue. Joseph's looking forward to the Portland E-Prix. Hopefully we can get some folks to the East Coast, which is exactly what I just said. And Joe will be on the ground in Portland in a couple of weeks, and we'll do some excellent coverage as he did a couple of weeks ago for the Xfinity weekend as well. I'll throw in this in now, and we talked about it after the Tokyo E-Prix last month, 6 weeks ago. Now that we've got a double header, make one of them a night race, please. Yeah. Neons everywhere. It'll be spectacular by the waterfront there in Tokyo. Hopefully that is at least a consideration by the Tokyo E-Prix organisers and Formula E and in general, because that will be
brilliant.
The track, as I mentioned, I think we said talked about it in Hots and Knots, and we said it was a knot because it just looked like a car park anywhere in the world. But if you light it up properly, you can really make that a show. Monaco becoming a double header is a bit. I'm not sure I like that idea. I thought the single Monaco,
I don't like it either.
Race was better.
Yeah, I think they're running out of. I think honestly, they've looked at the calendar and gone, "We've got no tracks yet. Let's just double header where we know we can double header." So Monaco, you can do it.
Do you remember, Josh, like pre-COVID?
Yeah.
There was always the stories of there's 30 cities that want to join Formula E. Where are they?
They've all gone.
Yeah, exactly. They've all walked into the John Travolta room and gone, hello. Where? Because now we're just doubling up everywhere. It's apart from Jakarta, basically, and Sao Paulo. Interesting to see where that TBC lands, though. I'll always love a TBC on a calendar.
I think that TBC on the calendar is going to be a race we've already seen. So it's got to be something that is going to get added on. Say again?
Hyderabad, perhaps?
Oh, I've just realised March 8th, isn't it? Haven't they moved Supercars at Adelaide back up the year? No, they haven't.
No, Supercars at Adelaide is locked in as the finale, and they haven't got their calendar out yet.
Right, but, so could March 8 be Adelaide? Is that what they're waiting on? Because we've heard it's been Australia. They want an Australian man for ages. Is March 8 Adelaide? Because after that it's Tokyo, isn't it? So it's not too far to ship the cars over. So
perhaps I would have. I don't know. Maybe they could run it on the short track.
Yeah,
that they use for the Adelaide Motorsport Festival. Stick a chicaning on the back straight, and you're
there. Which is at similar time, isn't it? Because and we've got Australia. Yeah, just for the fun.
So yeah, that's a good shout. Didn't think about that. That's a very good shout.
We'll keep an eye on that because Australia, of course, is the F1 season opener next year, not Bahrain. So yeah, Formula E to Adelaide. I'm game, says Adam. Yeah, that could be something. I'm gonna have to.
And Adam, because it's electric, they'll surely bring back Clipsal as the sponsor.
Because
or Velo, they're lighting people.
The Clipsal E-Prix. That'll be that'll be it. The Clipsal E-Prix, won't it? I bet you it's Australia. I've got a good feeling it's Australia now as well. And it looks like Joe, I'll have to switch over to cover the IndyCar race now to come over because Formula E was the aim, but now I'll have to do IndyCar. And the only person on the team I know who's near Miami would be Nicole. So presumably we'll have to see if she'd get over there because I know she does all the TikToks as well for the Miami Grand Prix, and that's her local. She went there.
I think she's on the West Coast.
Oh, she's West. Oh,
yeah, I think she's in the Pacific Northwest, just like Joe. So I don't think so. Miami would. So I'm probably I'm the closest one to Miami compared to her.
Off you go then. You're off then, okay. We'll send you now, Aaron. We'll send you over.
Yeah, I think it's a 90-minute flight to Miami. So
really.
Yeah, it doesn't. Right. Yeah, it doesn't take long to fly from North Carolina to Florida.
Right, we need to get Kobe on for more. North Carolina. So in 2 weeks, it's your home NASCAR race.
Wait, what?
Oh, where
No,
in
it's
North
New
Carolina?
Hampshire in 2 weeks'
New
time.
Hampshire. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm
Yeah,
getting ahead. I'm not covering that race, you
yeah,
see.
I've
So
already
yeah,
had my home
I'm not to
NASCAR
do.
race. Yeah, my
You
home
already had
NASCAR
it.
race.
Yeah, earlier on in the year.
Yeah, and to
Sorry,
be
I'm
fair,
getting ahead.
yeah, and to be fair, my home NASCAR race is Martinsville Speedway, not Charlotte Motor Speedway, because I live less than an hour from Martinsville. I live 90 minutes away from Charlotte Motor Speedway, so I actually consider Martinsville, Virginia, my home race compared to Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, the track's in Concord, but still same area.
That's it. See, I'm getting confused because I've been in and out of NASCAR for the last couple of weeks as well because USRN are covering it, but I've been doing IndyCar and then the Formula One, so it's all been going like one after the other. I'm not back until. I'm not doing this week's. I'm back next
Iowa.
week. Yeah, I'm not doing Iowa. I'm at New Hampshire then. That's where I am. That's my next one.
And
Yeah.
then Nashville the week after. Anyway.
Yeah, I've got painful memories of Nashville. Me and Joe Sarriogo, 6 hours in the commentary under a red flag. That was an interesting one. Oh, what a race that was. So coming into it then as well, Formula E, getting back to that story as well, will introduce an official manufacturers championship. 7 manufacturers will be eligible, them being Jaguar, Porsche, Nissan, Stellantis as well, Mahindra, Lola Cars, run by our friend, of course, as well, Matt Preston, and the Electronic Racing Technologies, ERT, coming into it. Now, points will be awarded based on the performance of each manufacturer's 2 highest scoring cars in each race, and there will be an official FIA trophy recognising the winner starting in season 11. Matt, they're sort of demoing this now, aren't they, and seeing how it goes in season 10. They introduced it very late, but do you think it's a good move, or should Formula E be prioritising other things than this?
They always should be prioritising other things than this because this doesn't take any thought and should have been done 3 or 4 years ago when it became a official world championship. Should have been done straight away. You would have had more pull to manufacturers. Come in and win our world championship, please, like we see with the WEC. But they need to be focusing on TV deals. They need to be focusing on the calendar, which obviously is nice to have it out in June when it doesn't start till December, which is good. But as we've mentioned, it's all double headers. So hopefully we can get away from them a little bit, but this is a fairly easy thing and will take absolutely no time for them to sort out whatsoever.
Annoyingly, I think now race 1 of Formula E clashes with the penultimate race of Formula 1, if I'm not very much mistaken. Matt goes to the booth for New Hampshire as well. Oh, is that where you're going?
I am, apparently.
Oh, right. Is that with me or USRN?
Who knows?
I've no idea where we just get placed these days. It's one of those years. So, moving on to our hot topic as well, and it certainly is a hot topic for this evening as well, because according to Adam Stern from the Sports Business Journal, the NTT IndyCar Series is finalising its new media rights deal for 2025 and beyond. Now, Stern says that IndyCar is planning to move on from NBC Sports and begin working with Fox Sports moving forward. It was rumoured that NBC and Fox offered a full network TV package for IndyCar races. Now, with NASCAR on Fox coverage ending before the Coca-Cola 600 as well, which will be on Amazon Prime next year, this would allow Fox to roll right into the Indianapolis 500 and the rest of the IndyCar season when Cup Series races coverage concludes. Now, this move would add some uncertainty regarding the future of IndyCar and NBC. Broadcast team, although Lee Diffie is expected to begin calling Cup Series races after the Summer Olympic break on NBC. Now, Stern added that we could have confirmation of this new rights deal by the end of the week. The link to this article is in the video description, and the photo taken by Joe Skopinski from Penske Entertainment as well. It's a big debate, isn't it, Matt? Because it doesn't affect us much over here in the UK with us having it on Sky Sports F1, but I suppose it does affect everyone over in America more, and also from a coverage point of view, because if IndyCar replaces NBC Sports with Fox Sports, given what you know about their NASCAR coverage, and myself too, learning this year, commentating on it, do you think this move could be beneficial for IndyCar or hurt them more?
It certainly needed a big shake, and we've been probably doing it again now. bashing IndyCar every week on this show for various things, but it certainly needed a big shake-up. And I'm, unlike most of the Grid Network Slack chat over the last couple of hours who are quite negative on this move, I'm quite positive on it because I think it'll bring something different. I think NBC, although the commentary team is good, the coverage has been fairly stale over the last couple of years, especially since the pandemic. And it just needs a bit of a grab and a rustle to get things going. If they get Diffie, it's unlikely because, let's be honest, he doesn't just do IndyCar and NBC, Supercross, Olympics, golf, much more. And there was a rumor a couple of years ago, hopefully I'm not talking out of turn here, that he was being touted to come and take Crofty's job with Sky, and NBC offered him all of the other things, which kept him stateside. So if they can keep him to do those things, then great. And of course, looks like he'll be calling the Cup races this year, and obviously that will roll through probably next. But who will, if they get it, then the questions will be, if Fox get the deal, the questions will be who's going to lead the commentary team, who will they have in pit road, how will they produce it, will they do anything other than what we get from NBC now in terms of the races, qualifying and practices, probably on FS1 or something like that. I think Ben was someone that said they'll tuck it away on FS2, 5, 7 or somewhere if there's a rain delay and all this kind of thing. We've just got to give them a chance. If they get the deal, it's obviously yet to be formally announced, but we talked about this 6-7 weeks ago. Then it went a bit cold and stale, over probably because it was the 500 and they didn't want to talk about it while the 500 was on. Now we're clear of the 500 and it's back on again. So I'm quite positive that Fox will pick it up and do what they did with NASCAR at the beginning of their NASCAR deal, all the way back in 2000, 2001, and take it and grow it. Much like we saw, and this is again a bit parochial, remember when Formula One was leaving the BBC for Sky, the world was falling down and it was imploding in television land. Look what they've done, Sky, with the Formula One coverage. I know people will have moans and gripes about it, but they've taken, BBC were great, but I think Sky have taken it to another level, and let's hope Fox can and will do the same with IndyCar going forward.
And arguably with Sky at the moment, they're in a bit of a stale period as well. They need to be shaken up a bit and re-energised, and they're doing that with Crofty stepping away for some races. Harry Benjamin's coming in, and that's energising the commentary box. They're moving pundits around and, seeing who works. Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say new pundits with Jack Villeneuve being part of the coverage in Canada last weekend, of course.
Yeah, they just need to find out what works.
Very much felt.
Yeah, I still think putting him and Danica Patrick together was one of the worst ideas because, as I said on the wrap-up show, the last time them two were together on television as well, Villeneuve's crew chief was going after Danica with a tire wrench, if I'm not mistaken, as well, in the NASCAR race that you saw. So not the greatest to have it there. My take on it is this. NBC do a lot for IndyCar. Every session is covered on Peacock. Every single hour of the Indy 500 is covered on Peacock, and then we have the race itself on NBC. They are outstanding with that. But it grates on me. IndyCar is one of the trickiest ones to commentate on because we don't have enough information. We really don't. We get a timing tile at the side of the screen, and that's it. We don't get, if we go on board with the drivers, you have to know, if you're a casual fan, you've got no idea who you're on board with. I struggle sometimes to tell the difference between Pato O'Ward's helmet or Felix Rosenquist's. And you have to look around because the halo doesn't say it. We need them to come up on the screen exactly like how Fox do, where it comes up immediately if we cut to the car, this is who you're looking at. And in Formula One, it does the same. We need the graphics. We need the information. And I think NBC have gone a little bit stale with their IndyCar coverage. When they got it in 2019, it was right, let's go. And then it just went stale. And I think that's what we've got right now. It's just gone stale. I
think you're, not to go off topic, but I think the driver ID thing more is a series problem rather than a TV thing because, and like in IMSA, every time you cut to an onboard camera, you've got the car number in front of the camera, so you know exactly who you're with. That might be a series production thing rather than a televisual thing. Ben says, if Fox allows IMS Productions to continue to have maximum control and puts the right people in the right places, this might be okay, but he's not holding out much hope.
I don't see Roger giving up control of the television product, considering that he owns, as you say, the production company. I think it'll be like they'll all just be working together, but it needs to change. Question is, who goes to the booth for IndyCar and Fox, says Adam. I was thinking about this. I don't know who they put in. Obviously, we'd all say Alan Bestwick immediately, but everyone's kind of wanting him on the Amazon deal with NASCAR and the TNT coverage. So I'd rather have Bestwick on NASCAR. So
he's the
yeah.
He's the most wanted man in motorsport commentary in the States who doesn't currently have a motorsports commentary deal in the States.
Yeah, it's weird.
Matthew Owen says the IndyCar couldn't even outrate NASCAR's pre-race show this weekend. Yes, you heard that right. They need some kind of shake-up, which is a great combination. It's probably either going to be Alan Bestwick, you would imagine, or they promote Adam Alexander up from their Xfinity Series coverage, because, of course, they don't have the Xfinity Series coverage as of now, because it's go off to NBC for this weekend. Yeah. So that was the last Xfinity race on Fox for the foreseeable on Saturday afternoon. Ben says, no doubt it's not all doom and gloom until we see the final product. I just can't be too optimistic based on how their NASCAR coverage has gone.
What's the betting here?
Oh, more. There's more to Ben's comment. Sorry, Josh, before you say, but if there's even less overlap between production teams and on-air crews than NBC has with IndyCar and NASCAR, it could be something that works. Much to flush out in the wash here. Ben says, my biggest fear, I know you'd have plenty to say on this, my biggest fear is Fox's ability to monitor the strategy aspects of IndyCar, which is sorely lacking in their NASCAR broadcasts. NBC hasn't always done a great job with that either, though, to be fair.
I've just thought of one person who is still commentating, out of a job, very respected broadcaster in America. Let's have Bob Varsha. That might be a call at IndyCar. That's a strong call. He was on F1 for years as well. He was liked and respected. Put him on IndyCar on a Fox deal might be quite interesting. Your silence here is a bit like, oh.
I'm not the biggest Bob Varsha fan, and let's be honest, we don't know what Bob's health is, considering he had a health scare.
Oh, he's better. He's doing a lot better as far as I know.
Kobe in the chat of the screen says he'd love Ryan Marion to jump up from IMS Radio. That they could do that too. Who knows? Many things to flush out in the wash.
And Kobe's correcting me. It was Danicus crew chief who was going after Villeneuve. I got it backwards. Yeah, sorry. Well, to be fair, wouldn't you go after Jack Villeneuve at the time? I know I would. The amount of times on the commentary of the weekend, I was going like, just no, it's not that. It's not that. Oh, it's just great on me. I don't know. Tom Brady on Indianapolis 500 coverage would be phenomenal. It really would, actually, as well. That would be quite something. Jamie Little has IndyCar ties. No. Jamie Little is very much she would be down in pit lane as well. Jamie Little would be great in pit lane, but she's not the best play-by-play commentator as well. Bob Varsha has called IndyCar races before. Yeah, he's called a couple of them as well. That's what I was thinking. Varsha's doing some F1 radio stuff with Sirius XM ESPN right now. He is. That's true, yeah. With Chris McCarthy, a colleague as well. So it's tricky. Who would you put in the... Who would the co's be? Who would you put as the co-commentators? That's the question, because that's the balance. I think keep Hinchcliffe immediately, but Townsend Bell, I think we could do better.
Hinch has got Formula One ties as well, though, hasn't he, with F1 TV? So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Much to flush out in this, and nothing is yet official. So we will wait and see.
It's going to be good. Anyway, it's time to wrap up our coverage. We'll keep across that here on Grid tonight, and we'll have to do some roundtable stuff around it too. There's a lot to talk about. But next up, it's Matt with our latest from Grid EPI update.
Thank you, Josh. We talked all about Le Mans. Keep an eye on Conor Daly, Ben says, for a potential punditry deal. That would be good if he doesn't get a full-time ride. The Grid Endurance Performance Index rolls on this weekend to Le Mans. We talked about it at the top of the show. It's one of the big four, and three of them in this month of June. We just had Nürburgring a couple of weeks ago. We've got Spa in a couple of weeks, the big four 24-hour races. The weekend just gone was action came from Zandvoort in the Endurance Performance Index standings with the DTM. Jack Aitken, the winner on Saturday, Marco Wittmann, the winner on Sunday for BMW. And in the ADAC GT Masters, Alea Sepinen and Tom Callender won on Saturday, and Maxime Houston and Leon Kohler were the winners on Sunday, which leaves, after 60 races and 11 weeks of the Grid Endurance Performance Index, the standings like this going into Le Mans, with Andre Lotterer still at the top, ahead of his two Porsche teammates in the number 6 car, Lawrence Van Voort and Kevin Estre. Interesting to see how they get on this weekend in the race, because that really will skew the standings. A couple more Porsche guys in their race there as well, with Ben Cameron and Felipe Nasr, much to be flushed out from Le Mans, as we talked about earlier on in the show. That is the only, of course, Endurance Performance Index scoring race this weekend in France, and then we will roll into the rest of June when it gets going again. As I said, we've got Spa 24 Hours coming up in a couple of weeks' time as well. So we'll talk all about Le Mans. Of course, Josh will have the coverage over on JB Motorsports at the weekend, and you'll find it on wherever your television stations, wherever you are around the world. There is the top 50, all the way down to Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim and 50th place. Andre Lotterer at the top, though, after 11 weeks of the Grid Endurance Performance Index. Now time to hand back to Kobe. He's got more headlines from the week.
Thanks, Matt. Time for some more motorsports news from around the world. And we're going to kick it off with Formula One releasing their 2026 regulations. The plan is to have more agile cars, which will be 30 kilograms lighter to create better on-track battles. There will also be a redesigned power unit featuring increased battery power and an even split between the internal combustion engine and electric power, with the use of 100% sustainable fuels. Active aerodynamics in the form of movable front and rear wings to allow closer racing, increase in overtaking opportunities through the introduction of a new system that gives drivers a short burst of additional battery power when they're within 1 second of the car head. This may sound familiar because this is going to replace the drag reduction system, commonly known as DRS. So when 2026 comes around, DRS will be obsolete. And there will also be an emphasis on improved safety through stronger structures and even tougher tests. Lastly, there's a commitment from a record number of 6 power unit manufacturers. While we have the regulations available to the public now, it's not 100% set in stone yet, as there could be some more tweaks before it becomes law. Mercedes driver George Russell has been the most outspoken driver on the new regulation, expressing his concerns about the higher straight line speeds and the need to further improve safety if they're going to be racing at 360 to 370 kilometers an hour. I did the conversion, and that'll be like going 230 miles per hour at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and graphic there, courtesy of F1. Tom Blomqvist is officially out of the NTT IndyCar Series as Meyer Shank Racing announced that David Malukas will replace him for the remainder of the 2024 season. Originally, it was announced that Blomqvist would set out the races at Detroit and Road America after he crashed out on lap 1, turn 1 of the Indianapolis 500. Elio Castroneves replaced him for those races, but many had doubts if Blomqvist would return given his struggles that we've seen in his transition from sports cars to Indy cars. And according to the team, Blomqvist will remain a member of the organization, and it's rumored that Blomqvist could stay with Meyer-Shank Racing in 2025 as their top driver when the team is expected to return to the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. And now we know that Malukas will drive the number 66 Honda. Moving forward, he participated in the hybrid engine test yesterday at the Milwaukee Mile, and we'll see the driver nicknamed Lil Dave make his MSR debut at Laguna Seca on June 23rd. Malukas said this opportunity means a great deal to him, and he's determined to repay the faith the team has shown him by giving his best effort on the track. Photo courtesy of Meyer-Shank Racing. And with NBC Sports picking up coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series this weekend at Iowa Speedway, NBC confirmed the broadcast lineup early this week. Rick Allen will return in his role as play-by-play broadcast, with Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte returning as analysts. Dale Earnhardt Jr. obviously will not return as he prepares for his new role at TNT Sports and Amazon Prime in 2025. Marty Snyder, Dave Burns, and Kim Kuhn will be on as the pit road reporters, and Snyder will also lead the studio coverage team with analysts Dale Jarrett and Brad Daugherty. After entering 2 races with their State 60 program, RFK Racing announced that Ford factory driver Joey Hand will drive the number 60 Ford at the Chicago Street Course. RFK previously entered the Daytona 500 with David Reagan behind the wheel, and Repco Supercars Championship star Cam Waters drove for the team last weekend at Sonoma, and previously competed in 7 NASCAR Cup Series races, with a best finish of 20th at Sonoma in 2022. Now we'll see the road course specialist get behind the wheel of a more competitive Cup car. Hand said he loves street racing and has done a lot of it in his career, so he believes that Chicago is right in his wheelhouse. Graphic courtesy of RFK Racing. And right before we came on air, Junco's Hollinger race announced that Agustin Canapino would return to the number 78 Chevrolet at Laguna Seca and remain in the car for the rest of the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series season. And in a video statement, Canapino thanked co-owners Ricardo Juncos and Brad Hollinger for taking him out of the car at Road America when he wasn't in the best mindset to compete. He added that regardless of where the insults come from on social media, we must all do our own part to learn and build a better community together. And also, he did an interview with Marshall Pruitt from Racer.com. Just going to read a little bit of the quotes from that. So Canapino told Racer, "I am much, much better. Now I understand a lot of the things, and for me, it's a big progress after a difficult week. It's exactly what happened. I learned we have completely different cultures. We have completely different languages, but I am racing in America. I understand now, and my fan base has to understand that I am racing in America. The good thing is the lessons I learned a lot, and hopefully the people from my side of the world will learn this too. This is a really good lesson for us. I'm really happy because this was a big lesson in life for me to try to understand, see the situation here. It was to understand the barrier language too. Sometimes we say something in Spanish and you end up saying precisely the opposite when we are thinking. It's fine in our minds. The thing that's important for me is we are different people, different cultures, but we totally need to stop with the abuse and hate on social media. This is an important message for me. It was a good message of life and how I have to react in the United States communities." A statement there Agustin Canapino gave to Marshall Pruitt from Racer.com. And with that said, gonna turn over to Matt for everyone's favorite game, Pick a Winner.
Thank you, Kobe. I was just shaking my head listening to you reading that absolute balderdash. Pick a winner this weekend then. We've talked about it plenty at the top of the show. The WEC or Le Mans 24 Hours is part of Pick a Winner this weekend, along with NASCAR Iowa on Sunday night and Supercars, who are back in action at Hidden Valley Raceway in Darwin. Matt B is top of the standings, as you can see there. 2 points clear of Ben Schneider. Adam is third, Kobe fourth, I'm in sixth, and Josh is in 12th. So we're all in the top half of the table. You for the heads on this show, you can get your name on the board by using the hashtag Pick a Winner, replying to the social media posts with your predictions for the races this weekend. And we will start our picks for tonight with the Le Mans 24 Hours. I'm going to go with a hot hand. They've won once and been very competitive in the races that they haven't won. I'm going with the number 6 Porsche Penske car, Kevin Estre, Andre Lotterer and Lawrence Vanderpool to win at Le Mans on Sunday.
That's a great pick, Matt. The Porsches are very competitive all around, but I'm going to stick with the team that's been dominated the last handful of years, although they didn't get the win last year. I think Toyota Gazoo Racing is going to end up on top, but I'm going to go with the number 8 Toyota of Sebastian Buemi, Brendan Hartley, and Ryo Hirakawa. Who you got, Josh?
Well, I'm going to stick with last year's winners, the Ferrari as well, who came in and were quite competitive in the practice sessions as well. I mean, you've asked me right now when I really am trying to keep an open mind in it, but if push your comment, I'm going to go for the Ferrari. I'm going to go back with the number 51 as well.
Not often the three of us pick someone different for a race, which is quite nice. Saturday Supercars race at Darwin. Back up in the top end. It'll be warm, it'll be dusty, it'll be frantic as it always is. And I think the man that's going to come out on top was one that didn't have a great race at Sonoma on Sunday. Will Brown, my pick for Hidden Valley on Saturday.
And for me, I think my pick may surprise a lot of people. I'm going to go with a young Supercars driver who's really come into his own. Give me Matt Payne to get the job done at Darwin. Josh, you going to give this a shot?
I've no idea. I don't know. I've no idea. I've not been able to keep up with it, but going for a shot, I'll stick with Will Brown. To be first, if he's been doing well the last couple of races, he's leading the championship. I'll stick with Will Brown as my safety bet as well. I need to keep back into Supercars a bit more. I'm about 2 weekends behind on watching it, so I'm doing a Matt White.
Yes, indeed. I've still got Perth to watch as well. As I said, you can get your name on the board. Look, there's plenty of space there for your name to be on next week when we get round to it. Adam's thrown his in. He's going with the number 7 car to win at Le Mans, and he is going to go with Will Brown as well on Saturday. Of course, 2 supercar races as well, Saturday, Sunday, Le Mans and NASCAR Iowa. If anyone from Fox is watching, they can find Matthew Owens easily for a commentary gig. The Oracle of Indianapolis on the 500 call on the television. The mayor will be there. It's time for Hots and Knots, brought to you by Insert Your Company Name here. We continue to thank them for their support. Busy weekend it was. Josh, I will let you have the floor for your hots of the weekend.
Where were we?
Canada, Thruxton.
Canada. Right, sorry. Mine went blank for a second about where were we as well. It's getting to that point. Canada, what a race. That was up there with one of the races of the year, if not the race of the year. We had confusion in qualifying, rain in the race. It was dry, wet. It was perfect. And I think it was one of the first races in a long time that Max Verstappen actually had to work for it again. He sort of got lucky in Imola in terms of the fact that there wasn't any places to overtake at. But here in Canada, he had to do the strategy game. He had to do the plans. I think the whole weekend in Montreal was fantastic. And it is one of my favourite races on the season because Montreal isn't like any other circuit on the calendar. It's got a different feeling to it, doesn't it? It's a weird one. You can never say, oh, it's like this track, it's like that track. It is totally different. And I really enjoyed it. And the mixed weather really made me go like, brilliant. And they didn't start it under the safety car. 5 years ago, it would have been safety car for 5 laps. But no, we got an actual start. I was so proud of the drivers getting around the first 2 corners and without incident until I realised Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez were in the field. And they made contact. Kind of was always going to happen, wasn't it, as well? But no, I really enjoyed the Canadian Grand Prix. Another hot, I thought Snetterton was actually... Sorry, Snetterton, where am I going? Thruxton. Yeah, that was a good 3 races, actually. Hard tyre compound, kept it flat. No one bothering with... not allowed, of course, to use the medium or option tyre. But with just a stable tyre compound, we got decent racing across all 3 races in the touring cars. And final point of view, actually, was I quite like Road America. I thought it was a good race, and I enjoyed having the cameras on from trackside. And I thought, Penske were fast, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was a good weekend of motorsport to stop and go. Brilliant. The only downside was trying to run around and trying to cover it all with them all being on at the same time. Next year, please change that.
As we talked about in the not section last week. I have to agree with you on a hot for Montreal. I was thinking about this today. Normally, there is a certain outlet that produces a post-race podcast of a Grand Prix that I listen to religiously, and it's normally an hour. The beginning of this season, it's been trending towards 45 minutes because there's not been so much to talk about. This week, an hour and a half. That means it must have been a good Grand Prix. Which it really was. And you're right. You watch those first couple of laps and you're thinking, oh, really? They've let this go in this condition? Looks like proper safety car to me. But they all did very well. Hot Kevin Magnussen, for a change, overtaking people, lots of them, apart from and not keeping them behind. Didn't work for them in the end, but it was good while it lasted. Thruxton was good. The crowd at Thruxton was tremendous, I thought. Looked great on ITV's coverage. The Mini 7 race, which followed the first touring car race, was unbelievable. I was jumping out of the seat. Mike Jordan. More Mini 7s on the telly is what we need. I thought that was fantastic. And my final hot again, Shane Van Gisbergen winning 2 in a row, and that feud with Austin Hill is going to run, which is going to make for interesting watching for the rest of the Xfinity Series throughout the year. Chadwick, yes, we must mention Jamie Chadwick. Well done her. Excellent for getting the first female victory in Indy Next / Indy Lights ever, as Adam brings it up on screen there. He also says FVG at Sonoma. Jagger Jones winning in Mid-Ohio after finally Jones died last week. Yes, and he's been announced today, I think, that he's going to be back in Indy Next at Mid-Ohio later on in the year. And Kyle Larson winning the Cup race at Sonoma as well is Adam's hot. Hot for Matthew Owen, says Eric Shanks and Fox Sports. What a deal to get the Daytona 500 and the Indianapolis 500 on the same network. The first time it's happened since ABC in '78. First time a network will show both races live. There's your Anorak fact.
See, Oracle.
Exactly right. For the week, my last hot. You mentioned Penske. Their repair job on Saturday to get Joseph Newgarden's car fixed. That was a tremendous shunt. And you look at that and go, well, that's a new tub straight away. But the very old and decrepit, walking with a stick, DW12 does the job yet again. And Joseph popped out feeling relatively okay and then got a decent result on Sunday.
95G, wasn't it?
So, you just can't imagine. Knots. 95G is obviously a knot, but what else is a knot?
Sergio Perez.
Yes.
Another Q1 exit, third in a row. I mean, what are you up to? And then another DNF, 2 in a row, and more millions of pounds worth of damage being done. I mean,
some would say he just got a contract extension.
Yeah, I mean, how many? What's he got on Christian Horner that we don't have? What else has he got to have that? I mean, why re-sign him? I mean, also, another knot is RB and their name, because have you seen the story that's floating around? They're changing it again, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, they're changing it because they told Yuki Tsunoda he's going to RB next year, and he went, "Yes, I'm in the main team." And they went, "No, Yuki, you're staying at RB." And he went, "Oh," and then they all went, "Yeah, this isn't working, is it? To have two teams with RB, it's not working." So RB is changing its name again. God knows what it's going to be. I'm voting Minardi. Yeah. But why is Sergio Perez in that seat when Tsunoda could go up there? Just I'm here for obscure, unneeded sports media notes. Says
we love you for it. Also, finally, a terrific and entertaining race at Sonoma. Yes, it was.
That was good.
Tremendous race. Adams Knots, no more NASCAR Race Hub on FS1. Yes, the final Race Hub aired yesterday, and there's a highlights package of said show on the Fox NASCAR on Fox YouTube channel, which I have got saved ready to watch probably tomorrow at some stage.
I guess we're the monopoly now.
Yeah, indeed. Any more knots, Josh? Because I've got a few. I'd like to roll out.
Not that I've got. You go.
People in Formula One in need of a good run and keep throwing it at the fence. Guan Yu Zhou, Logan Sargent not doing their future job prospects any good again this weekend, both of them. Ferrari, what happened?
Oh, God, that was a mess.
Awful in qualifying didn't even make it to Q3. Then, obviously, Leclerc had his ERS problem or whatever it was, but then they stuck slick tyres on it when it was immedially about to rain.
I know.
Absolute Ferrari.
I'm going to send you a video later, because Into the Barrier, Scott, who is a YouTuber, about 10 years ago, made a joke about the Mercedes strategy and said, "Right, Lewis, it's horrific conditions out there, but it's perfectly dry right now, so we've taken the decision to start you on the wet tyre in Bahrain," as a joke. And I was thinking that during the race and thinking, like, it is raining catastrophically, and Ferrari have literally put them on dry tyres. I mean, what the hell? I mean, they are smooth brain if ever they've been. If they had one ridge, they could have used that as the intermediate tyre on their brain. But no, they have smooth brains over there. They have not got an original thought. Fred Vasseur is doing an amazing job turning that team around. But, God, the strategy department needs Bernie Collins. Or Ruth Boscombe, just someone.
Before I get into my other list where we're talking about Canada, did you pick up on the Esteban Ocon thing at the end of the race? You've heard about this? So he was ninth, coming towards the end of the race.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Danny Rick had passed both he and Pierre Gasly towards the end of the race. Esteban was asked, and he had an ERS problem as well as Leclerc, to move over and let Pierre Gasly go through. And he flat out refused this request. Later then keeled over on it and made some more comments after the race. So Esteban out of the job, and again not doing his future prospects of employment any good. More Canadian knots. The fans on Friday on the bridge being told that practice had been cancelled.
Yeah, Villeneuve was on it. Rosanna Tennant was on it, and half the media going to the. No, it hasn't been cancelled. Look, I work for them. We're on. And what the hell was that?
And they're all being told that it was cancelled. And it wasn't even delayed. No, because the session actually started on time. So that was really bad. And then there was a video I saw on TikTok this morning.
I saw the same one.
Fans that had got just general admission, no grandstand seats on Sunday for the Grand Prix, had found a spot between the two grandstands on the pit straight to watch the action and sat there most of the day getting quite wet, ready for the Grand Prix to start. And not so long before the Grand Prix to start, they came along with a big black sheet and went, no, thank you.
Yeah, closed it off. Ridiculous.
Closed it off. You can't sit here. What? Terrible. There was some comments from Martin Brundle also I saw that he'd made to some media today saying he had a pretty difficult, it wasn't his greatest favourite Canadian weekend for various issues, including those kind of things. So
they stopped
Canada, the Montreal Grand Prix need to take a look at themselves a little bit, I think.
Yeah, they stopped him with the grid walk as well. The local Canadian security is like, he was trying to go through, and several times they grabbed him, and one of them elbowed him, kneed him in the face. He's ducking under the barrier, and if you go back, you can watch it. A knee goes in Martin's face. He's very well not to react, but Martin getting kicked in the face is not great in the grid walk, and it all needs a bit of a mess. I think Formula One, owned by Liberty Media, is good in many respects, but they have borderline killed the sport in terms of fans. It's all commercial, and it's killing it. And that's what I'm mainly worried about MotoGP is that, as you know, but car fans fine, Formula One fans are different, but bike fans are another breed. You mess with bike fans, you're out of it. It's like a karate chop, how they'll take you down. And I'm a bit worried that we've got this situation that they're going to bring in the Drive to Survive style fans over to MotoGP. They're not going to last 5 minutes. So there's a war coming in MotoGP that I'm not looking forward to.
Another knot was two. I've got two more before we go. The difficult days that Cam Waters and Will Brown had on Sunday at Sonoma, which was a real shame because we like to see, well, I personally like to see the Supercars guys go over and do well. One did quite well on Saturday. And my final knot, I don't believe I'm going to say this out loud, especially on the air. I agree with Tim Harvey.
Oh,
tyre stacks need to go. We just got to stop putting stacks of tyres on the inside of corners.
Yeah, it's stupid.
To police track limits, because they happened in the first touring car race when Andrew Watson ended up clouting one of them and it then brought out a safety car. Just either let them go across it or build a wall there.
I'm still angry with Tim Harvey. He stepped on my foot. He was coming to the door in Donington. He's like, I'm there on the floor in soaking wet, trying to plug a microphone in and all that on a headset. And he just stepped on my foot. He was very apologetic. But yeah, I was next to his seat though, kind of. So it wasn't too bad. But yeah, David Addison though is a lovely bloke. Blimey, he stops and has a chat with you or anything. And I don't know if you saw it, but he was. It was in between the race 2 draw for race 3. And he says, I never get to see this because I'm usually walking back to the ITV truck for the briefing on the next race. So he stopped and we had a discussion and said, wouldn't it be great if Rob Huff got it on his first weekend back? Out comes Rob Huff's number. And we both go, wow, that's not great. So yeah, nice little moment there. And he
Man
stopped.
Get him on the IndyCar broadcast for Fox.
Yeah. Oh, he's so nice. At the end of the day, Paul O'Neill was on the phone out the balcony, and he comes out with his hat on. Nice big hat like Indiana Jones. I've got this one similar. And I'm in the middle of trying to get NASCAR started. And he goes, yeah. I says, yeah, I'm just trying to get NASCAR started on OBS. And he comes on and has a look at how I do it all and all the OBS files. And he is such a genuine bloke, David Addison, honestly. So thumbs up to him. I can't wait to see him again at Not Kill. But then I've got lunch with Steve Ryder and Richard John Neal. I'm trying to find, I cannot wait. And I'll tell you this, I can't wait to know the Vicky Butler Henderson story that Richard John Neal's got.
Yeah, you've been promised.
I can't wait at Not Kill. Honestly, it's going to be fantastic. But I have found out that where I'm staying in Not Kill, it's either a 36-minute drive or a 2.5-hour bus journey with a 57-minute walk. So I think I'm going to be taking some taxis. But yeah, I think that's a not. Better access piece for Not Kill. So, all wrapped up?
Yes, let's do it. Let's get off and let's get ready for Le Mans at the weekend.
Excellent. So, taking a look at our upcoming schedule as well. Saturday, Grid Live pre-race. That's at noon Eastern. Sunday, Grid Live wrap-up. An afternoon show to recap the Supercars, Darwin, Triple Crown, and the 24 Hours of Le Mans as well. I might be able to join for that. If not, I'll send a video in as well. Monday, Grid Encore, recapping the ARCA, Xfinity, and Cup races at Iowa as well. Fingers crossed on that, actually, because, it would be funny, wouldn't it, to see me, just dead on air, because I'll be like, after 24 something hours, 30 hours plus commentating. Please do continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for helping us reach the milestone of 1,000 subscribers. Now, please do help us as we're on the road to 2,000. You can hit the bell icon to get notifications for when we go on the air. And you can follow all of our social media platforms and visit gridranking.com. You can take 5 minutes to invest in the Grid Network through Patreon. You can join Colin, Mark, Deshelle, Robin, David, and Matthew, who invest each month in the Grid Network. And we encourage you to join these fine folks who keep us on the air. And once we hit $500 per month, we can start sending our team trackside to cover more races and continue expanding our coverage. Link to all of that is in the video description. And if you want to do a one-time donation, you can click on the Buy Me a Coffee link. You can get your name on the board as well and invest as much as you want. And do consider buying a specific on-air personality cup of coffee, and they will thank you for it personally on the air as well. So for Kobe Lambeth and Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Index, I'm Joshua Birch. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night.